Hello, I'm Jon Kirkman. I'm a journalist and a broadcaster based in the UK, and this is one in a continuing series of videos that is basically highlighting some of the releases that you may have missed or some of the releases that may interest you. Now, today we're talking about Renaissance and Renaissance Connected. These are all available via Esoteric, who are distributed via Cherry Red Records. Now, the great thing about Cherry Red Records right now, with a few record companies as well, you can actually order online and you will still receive your orders through the post. So you don't have to go to the high street. I know it's difficult at the moment because I don't think there's any high street record stores open at the moment. I'm not saying that that's going to be the way it is forever, but right now that's the way it is. So let's start with this one. This came out last year, 2019. Annie Haslam and Annie in Wonderland. It was her debut solo album. She was still a member of Renaissance. In fact, she still is in Renaissance. She still leads Renaissance to this day. This came out originally, I think, in about 1978. It was produced by Roy Wood, who also did the amazing cover artwork for that. He was actually seeing Annie Haslam at the time. He was her boyfriend. He produced the record and helped her put it together. It's a fantastic record as well because it's nothing like Renaissance. It's very, very pop oriented, and there's some great songs on here as well, including a couple of songs from Jon Camp as well. And Annie seems to think that the Jon Camp songs on here are the best he's ever done. So that's praise indeed for Jon, who of course was her bandmate at the time in Renaissance. Now, the series of releases that Esoteric have been going through, I've been going through them all. Now, when I say Renaissance, I mean the sort of classic lineup of Renaissance. I don't mean the original Renaissance with Keith Relf and Jane Relf and Louis Sonamo and John Hawken and the like. What I do mean is the classic lineup, which of course is this here. It's John Towse, Jon Camp, Terry Sullivan, and of course Annie Haslam. Now, this was just before Mickey Dunford joined the band, and Michael Dunford, wonderful, wonderful composer and guitarist. To give him his correct title, everybody knew him as Mickey. It was quite funny. It was the band talking to him as Mickey, and then they'd introduce him on stage, Michael Dunford. But he was a lovely fella, sadly no longer with us. But this was just before Michael Dunford joined the band. This was the first album, of course. This was the first one, really, which featured what went on to be the classic lineup of Renaissance. The guitarist on this particular album is a guy called Rob Hendry, who didn't sort of stay with the band. And he was, in turn, a replacement for the original guitarist who was sadly killed in a car crash. So it wasn't an auspicious start, to be honest, although the music was absolutely amazing. Now, we kind of skipped a couple of albums here. We're missing, obviously, Scheherazade, but this is the most recent. Now, this is a very, very important album. It was their first album for BTM Records. They were in a very, very small group of bands who were on that label. I think the only other bands on there were the Climax Blues Band and also Curved Air. So there was only 3 bands actually on that label. Now, on here you get the album with some bonus tracks. You also get a 5.1 mix of the album, which sounds absolutely stunning. There are some wonderful songs on this album, some key songs. You get the booklet and you get the various discs. There's a live album in here as well, and then the 5.1 mix. Now, for Renaissance fans, long-time Renaissance fans, there you go, that's the 5.1 mix. The long-time Renaissance fans, for them, this is a key album. And we've all got our favourite albums, I have to say, from Renaissance. This is one of mine. I love them all. But my favourite album of all time is probably Song for All Seasons. What we have here is, again, a classic album, and it is a very, very important album. It is Renaissance live at Carnegie Hall. This came out in the summer of 1976, and I must say they did a kind of similar thing in the UK at the Royal Albert Hall with an orchestra. I don't think there's any band bettered recording an album with an orchestra than Renaissance. I think both in terms of material and the arrangements. I really think Renaissance are atop of the tree for that. This album here, Novella, was the very, very first album that they recorded for Warner Brothers. Now, that again, another big step up for the band, and this was where they started becoming very, very popular, certainly in the UK and certain parts of America, notably the East Coast of America, which leads rather nicely to my favourite Renaissance album. This came out in 1978, I should say. And not only was it a great album, it actually contained a hit single. Yeah, Northern Lights was on this particular album. Now, what you get in the box, as well as the booklet and the various discs, this is what you got in the actual vinyl album. You had a poster with the various seasons: winter, spring, summer, autumn, I guess, or something like that. And again, it would look rather nice in a frame if you can get the guys. If you ever bump into Annie and any of the guys doing their various things, get them to sign it. Now, what you get here again is more live material. It's on 3 discs, and this really is, for me, the peak of Renaissance. And whilst they did continue, and they have continued right the way through pretty much, with a couple of gaps, I really think that that particular era was their sort of purple patch, as they say. And that really was the one that everybody sort of, well, I remember seeing them during that era. This is still a wonderful album. I play this at least once a week. It's got some wonderful tracks on there. One of my favourites, Day of the Dreamer. And I still pester Annie Haslam to play that live. Maybe one day she will. Bless her. I hope she does. But she says, yes, it is a great song. And I spoke to Jon Camp about that, and he really rated that song as well. Now, I have to say, all of these are available to order. You can go to the Cherry Red website. It's cherryred.co.uk. Just click on the menu, which is in the top left-hand corner. You'll find the search box, type in Renaissance, and you will get all of these albums available on the page, and you can click on them and you can order them. And they've been sort of dispatching albums right the way through the lockdown, which has been going on for almost 8 weeks now here in the UK. But you can buy them wherever you are in the world. You can. That's the glory and the beauty of the internet, I guess. If you're a Renaissance fan, these albums really should be in your collection. They've got lots of extra tracks in there, lots of live tracks, lots of bonus studio tracks and different mixes. And in the case of this, you've got the 5.1 mix, which is stunning. It really is stunning. I cannot tell you how good that particular mix is. It really is superb. Again, we have interviews with Annie Haslam and also with Jon Camp talking about these albums and also Annie's solo album. And you can get them on the SoundCloud page. And again, as ever, the web addresses are running across the bottom of this particular video. Again, whatever you're doing, stay safe, stay well, and just enjoy music. And you can do via the internet. You can order all of these by going to cherryred.co.uk. Once again, thanks for listening.